Can we pre-approve this, Brian, before you put it up?
So anyway, I'm sure we'll cover a lot of things that'll probably irritate people, and some guys will agree with. Because anytime you talk about this, there's like these far opposing sides of the fence, and there's some middle of the road. So
I just can't buy into the whole face paint thing. That's so
like special ops. You put it on, you just feel.
But then you got to wash your face.
And then when it came to the shot, it's like, oh my God,
Autopilot.
There's the shot. Autopilot, save me, right? Bung, and off the arrow would go.
And I answered him, but I'm asking you that question.
I want to hear your answer. No, I want to hear your answer.
This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
I worked for the railroad. I was an engineer on the railroad at the time. So whenever we would stop, I would take my humongous rangefinder.
Bushnell 500, whatever it was, 60
for real.
Yeah.
Is because you're point A, the target is point C. And when you're doing this left and right, and you're looking at the ground, not the target. So
the ground.
If you're A and the target is C, as you're moving left and right, you're watching the ground to see which point is not moving.
Break the tank, lost.
I shot a 198 the first round with a stick bow, though. I did good the first round. I think a 160 the second round.
Something went wrong, like on 2 targets.
I won the Tour de France last year, but I was driving my truck.
Yeah, no. Well, the thing.
4 stalks is not 4 shots.
Yeah, no. Yeah, if I ever shot at one animal 4 times, I would.
Get a recurve, you'll do it.
Hey, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. We've kind of started already, but I'm here with Greg Poole from Bow Junky and with my illustrious co-host, Aaron Snyder, and it is day 3, last day of the ATA show in Indianapolis, and we're running on fumes a little bit.
And we're running behind, which has been the story of the entire week.
Yeah.
Dude, y'all are some animals, bro. I got to say, I mean, I've been trolling around doing the thing, and for anybody out there, it's just a podcast. Y'all come sit on these stools all day and do this thing, man. So props to you guys.
We try to keep it rolling. We made some podcast gold this week.
Good.
But there were a few where
flops.
There are a few flops, like flat out, just
nobody bats 1,000, bro.
Like belly flops.
Some of them flow. Some of
those are fun though.
You're just like you ask a question and then you get a yes answer, and you're like, man, I thought you'd carry that for like 30, 40 seconds at least. Dang it!
You're like, dude, I need a break, so I'm fitting to ask you a question. You better carry me for a minute because I'm fitting to power nap.
The thing is, there really is some. Normally, there are some. There's just some chemistry and it flows. And it's just like. It's perfect. And then there's just times where it's not there.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, that's just what it is. But, obviously, Aaron.
So, a lot of people, if they're in the archery world, have heard of Bow Junky.
Yes, sir.
They've heard of Greg Poole. And they've heard of Aaron and Greg Poole hanging out for the first time.
Right.
But there's going to be some in our audience who don't know or not in the know. So, give some folks some background on how you two met.
Well,
you've been friends for a long time.
A long time. That'd be, 2001?
Yeah, 2001. We were at the Oregon State Championship.
For people that are listening, describe Greg Poole to them.
So Greg's, what are you, 6'8", 6'7"?
I'm 5'19".
Yeah, so he's 5'19", and I would say a beefy 285, 290.
I'm a svelte 280, 282.
Yeah. I don't know if you can imagine a hot dog sticking out of a bun. Well, that's what Greg's hands look like when he wears fingerless gloves. And so you were bigger when I met you.
Yes, I was shaped a little different, but
you weren't fat. You're just big dude. But
right.
I think I just come back from overseas. Maybe
you had,
and
literally.
I had just showed up in Oregon. Just went through not good divorce, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I think we got peer groups. So the first day we all shot with people we didn't know, and then we were in the top 5. And about target 17, and keep in mind I was beating Greg handily. But he was trying to get in my head, and he hadn't yet, but he was getting close. And I can't remember if I said I was going to chop you down like a tree, but I remember it took 17 targets for me to size you up thinking, can I do this?
Right.
And, will there be a victor? Are we both are we going to the hospital or are we going to go to the morgue? Because this is going to be interesting.
Right, exactly.
And I thought the best thing I got is I'll get him winded. If I say something and he takes a swing, I can probably get him winded. That's the best shot I've got, and I'm wiry for a fat guy. I can move.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I believe it went something to the effect of, "I will chop you down." was the verbiage. Something about holding your bow by the cam. I will hold my bow by the cam and chop you down.
When I remember Cabe from Spot Hog, who Cabe is not a mighty man. He's
Gabe's non-confrontational.
Man. And he's got pearly white teeth, and he just kind of looked at both of us and smiled and took a step back, like, right, I'm not getting involved.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, look, because, I'm the kind of guy that, I just believe that you just put it out there, and if your intent's proper and, you want to have fun with it, I believe that you can talk trash, you can talk smack, in a healthy manner. You don't talk about disrespectful stuff. But
like their mom. You don't talk about their mom.
Unless you're ready to get chopped down. Because that pretty much ends the whole conversation right there. But no, I'm a firm believer just in life and anything that you do. Dude, if you're not having fun with it, why do it?
Yeah.
And so, I immediately, when I saw Aaron, he comes walking up and gets introduced, and I looked at him, and I'm like, I'm going to like this guy.
Yeah.
I can tell that already. I'm not telling him that.
The funny thing, remember that there was a little kid that could shoot, and he beat all of us. I don't even remember that, and he talked more than me and Greg. And
but what are you going to say to him?
Right? Yeah,
and smaller than Cabe.
But he was a logger, very proud of the fact he chopped trees for a living, and I'm very allergic to poison ivy, and he grabbed and he rubbed it on my leg, and I said, dude, I didn't want to hurt you, but I'm going to. And he's like, I'm just kidding. I'm like, if you're not kidding, I don't want to, but you're probably not going to make it off this course.
Yeah, and, Snyder, why you got to be so mean, dude?
Dude, I'm telling you.
It was because he grabbed it like this, and he rubbed it on my calf like that, and I just kind of was like.
Well, you didn't say anything for like 6 seconds.
Oh, well, I was thinking.
You were processing.
Yeah, processing, and then that's when I
go
said.
To jail. Is he over 18?
Right.
Yeah, and he could shoot. His dad actually owns that hydraulic Siegfried release, I think,
yes.
Right?
And absolutely.
And the kid could. You know what?
Yes.
Did he? I don't know if he won or he could shoot. He was good.
Absolutely.
But I remember I was like, I didn't want to hurt you today, but I'm going to. He's like, I was just kidding. It's Chittum or I don't know whatever it was, right? I don't know. I'm not a herpetologist. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know plants.
Herbivore.
Yeah. Either way.
A botanist.
Botanist. No, there's a herba something. Doesn't really matter. If I say it with confidence, people believe it anyway.
Own it, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But after that, you and I got along great.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
I mean, every time I saw him, I'm like, oh, I'm glad Greg's here. We can talk all day.
All day, every day.
So up until that point, was Aaron just kind of quiet while you just kept,
Well, yeah, I mean, Aaron is in real life, when, he's evaluating his surroundings, he's generally not a man of a whole lot of words.
No.
At all. He's a man of a whole lot of looks.
Yeah, there's a lot in the body language.
Oh, yeah, all of it.
That's why you want a podcast with Aaron when you can see his face.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's with Aaron, it's a lot about the things that he's not saying. So if you take the things he's saying and then you pretend that you can read it in Braille, yeah, that's how it works. But no, I mean, look, it's all about having fun, good-natured fun. I mean, I've been in some groups with the guys that started talking trash, and you're just like, you're talking trash, and you don't get it.
Yeah.
So it kind of changes the dynamic.
Aaron doesn't talk trash unless he can back it up, pretty much.
Well, I tell you what, Greg, somewhere in the middle of that first 20 targets, laid a 3-er group at 100 yards about like that, and all I could think of was, I'm glad he can't judge yardage that well.
Like a baseball.
I can't do that.
Yeah, it was unmarked yardage, and I'm like, sure, breaking the most perfect shot, but I had to put my smack talk on a delay, like primetime television, because I'd judge it, I'd break the most perfect shot, and I'd have to wait for someone to call before I could start talking trash. Because if I shot and turned immediately and be like, "What?"
Yeah,
and he'd be like, "Nice 5." Damn it.
Well, and the thing is, when you shoot a lot of 3Ds, you can tell when you've got a feet of paper shooter, because there's a lot of plumb bob fives, right? There's a lot of
Left
fives.
and right is like
Yeah.
Up, down, up, down, up,
Yeah,
down.
straight above the 12. I'm like, and my big thing, if a guy shot a 0, I'd be like, you're just a little above the 5 line. Just a little, or a little below the 5 line.
Just a little high.
And in
of
Oregon,
the target.
it's tunnels, it's dark, and dark tunnels are the worst thing for me to judge. Tunnels always make things look farther, dark, and then you'd have sunshade. That always
How do you
makes it
judge
difficult.
yardage? Because
back then, I didn't know anything. And
Any tricks?
Well, back then, the whole idea of just sitting there and staring at a target for hours at a time until you could recognize how big the target, that never occurred to me ever.
Yeah.
So I worked for the railroad. I was an engineer on the
Yeah.
railroad at the time. So whenever we would stop, I would take my humongous rangefinder.
Bushnell 500, whatever it was, 60
for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like this.
Like your
but
Nalgene
two of
bottle?
them.
Dude, it was
Yeah.
horrible. I had one of those dial ones before that.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
you would dial in the focus, like
You're
people-
old.
For real, bro. That's a legit.
How old are you?
I'll be 47.
Yeah. I'll
So-
be 43.
Yeah. So when I would stop, in the train to wait, I would just walk out through the woods and range stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, really practice and find out what method works for you. Now, at this stage of the game, Levi Morgan and these guys, Danny McCarthy and them, they got that
Yeah.
stuff dialed. They literally can look at a target and be like, I know what target that is. That's how far it is.
Yeah.
And so it's really not a guessing game for a lot of them now.
Well, I
It's
go around
crazy.
with Aaron at the 3D range, or when we're hunting and he's just got his stick bow and he's like 28, 33. I'm a man of like, it's either 20 or 30
Right.
because that's where I got a pin.
Exactly.
No, I've gotten better, but just there's an uncanny skill at just being able to recognize distances.
I do, when I walk up, the way that I do it, I look at the size of the animal is the best way to do it. If you can see enough targets as many times, you memorize what it looks like at that distance. That's I think, probably how
just
most
feel.
Yeah, I mean, they just know the
Basically.
size of it in their eyes. But I look at it and I take a guess. I cut the distance in half, multiply it by 2, take a guess, and then I go from where I'm at and go 10, 20, whatever the remainder is. So there's a mean, median, and mode kind of a thing where I take all three into a consideration. And if those numbers don't jive, then I'm like, fudge.
Well, a lot of guys now you'll see they stand there and do this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I do, left and right.
And the reason that you do that is because you're point A, the target is point C. And when you're doing this, if you're not looking at the target, you're looking at the ground.
And for people listening, you're swaying back and forth, left and right.
Left and right, yeah, I'm sorry. So left and right, and you're looking at the ground, not the target. So
The ground?
If you're A and the target is C, as you're moving left and right, you're watching the ground to see which point is not moving. That's point B in the middle.
Interesting.
And then you just double it.
Yeah,
so
that's
you
what I'm
judge,
talking about, middle point.
So you judge to the point that's not moving when you rock back and forth like this.
Really?
Judge to that.
And you can go,
double
that's 20 yards, so
Exactly.
that's 40.
Yep.
So what gets hairy or confusing is shadows and canyons.
Right.
So
You taught me that, like when we were at the 3D shoot, which, by the way, I won. I just want to throw that out there this summer.
Women's Cub.
Aaron was shooting a stick bow, and he can use that as a excuse for losing. But
I did win.
Right.
I did beat Frank.
I shot a
Frank the Tank
I
lost.
shot a 198 the first round with a stick bow, though. I did good the first
Yeah,
round. I
that's
think
right.
a 160 the second round.
Something went wrong, like on 2 targets.
I won the Tour de France last year, but I was driving my truck.
Yeah, no. Well, the thing is when you get to the canyons and you got to
Amen.
guess the
You ain't
size.
cheating, you ain't trying, and it's only cheating if you get caught.
You got to guess the size of the target, and so that's when I mean median and mode or whatever. When you get to a canyon and you look across, like the worst thing you do in Colorado, they'll have a tunneled canyon, so they take the ground away. Once they take the ground away, that's how I become kind of a human rangefinder, as I'm constantly practicing. Like you'll see now that I'm shooting a compound, I'll have a rangefinder on me 24/7, and I'm constantly practicing. And the thing is there was a shot I took on video that I got blasted for. I missed a deer coming out of its bed. I tried to shoot it coming out of its bed. I about cornholed it, right? And got yelled at for shooting a moving animal.
Texas
and then,
heart shot.
Then it ran off. Well, it ran off to 90 yards, 89. And, dude, I pinwheeled it right in the heart. But the entire time the deer's running, I'm looking at the ground, and I'm like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. He's just in front of 90 at the bottom of his heart, and pinwheeled his heart. Now, I lied at the time because that's what everybody does, and I was like, it was 40. Well, people knew my speed of my bow. They count, they can't, their guys are like, that's almost 100 yards. I'm like, no. But my ability to judge yardage is what saved me there. In the time it took to reload, I reloaded. How you doing? I reloaded while I was looking at watching. And then when I'm watching. When he stopped, I thought, well, I've got a couple yard variance. I'm going to put my 90 on the bottom of his heart. I did, and I smoked him. Well, if you can't judge yardage that well, I mean, you can blow at 38 and shoot miles over its back. And elk look inherently, I mean, people always think, in my opinion, they're farther than they are.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of guys shoot over the back of elk because they just that's where 3Ds are invaluable to hunting situations because it puts you right there.
Well, and a couple of my best animals I shot, I didn't range because I didn't have time, and I had to guess. And I found that, like that wolf this year, I didn't have time to range it. And I'm a rangefinder baby. Like
you smoked it though.
Yeah, but I'm not used to that. Except I've been shooting with Aaron on the 3D range. Other times I guessed I was pretty darn close. So I was like, well, even if I'm wrong, I'll probably do just fine. But after this year, that wolf was he was a poke, like 35 yards or something.
It looked like it was 70, dude. He shot it in like a triple canopy Panama rainforest. When I got over to where he shot, I was like, how far was that? He's like 37. I'm like, I probably would have shot high. That looks far.
You're right.
I mean,
exactly.
And it was just after shooting with Aaron, and Aaron told me we were fresh off the 3D course, and Aaron was telling me, okay, if it's dark and you're in a tunnel, I guess my yardage, and then I deduct. What was it? Like,
I'll usually deduct 3 to 5 in a tunnel if I'm unsure.
5%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty much what I did. I think I was like 40, 35. And then and the target on that wolf was tiny, so I was like, it was like super cool to like be able to do that without a rangefinder. And had I pulled out a rangefinder, I would never have been able to kill that.
Well,
thing.
I mean, look, that's look, these conversations all come down to one thing, and that's confidence. Whether it's confidence in yardage, confidence in your shooting, confidence in whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's about, knowing that it's something that you are at a level of competency at. Even if you're unsure of the yardage, being able to execute the shot makes up for a ton of it.
Yes.
And so whether it's Aaron dropping something, I mean, I just made that shot 3-4 weeks ago, and I've, have answered more questions about that than anything else.
Yeah.
And so whether it's you, gaining the confidence to see that elk and make that shot, it's just a matter of growing that confidence. You are confident enough in your ability, and at least at that point, your enough skill to execute that shot at that distance on that wolf, and it worked out. Aaron was confident enough to track that animal moving and make an educated decision to execute on that shot. When I shot that Scimitar Oryx at 100, same thing.
That lit the interwebs up. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
for those who don't know, you should go out onto Greg's page on the internet, on Facebook, and look at Greg take a shot, 100-yard shot.
Yes.
On an animal, on an Oryx. What was it, Texas?
Scimitar Oryx down in Texas.
Yep. And heart shot it at 100 yards.
With time.
And it was one arrow, by the way.
Correct.
It was 4 stalks, one arrow.
That's something.
I'm not,
yeah, well, see, look.
There's a lot of people who see that and are like, well, if you shot 4 arrows, what are you bragging about? It's like 4 stalks is not 4 shots.
Yeah, no. Yeah, if I ever shot at one animal 4 times, I would.
Get a recurve, you'll do it.
Oh, zing. No, but if I ever shot at an animal 4 times and missed it, I would take the 5th arrow and shoot myself in the face. But, no, I had made some stalks on that particular animal, and he literally, that animal had the best built-in rangefinder of any animal I've ever seen in my life. Because if you were at 101, he's just looking at you.
Yeah,
you're not gonna.
I bet he pretty well knew.
This distance, I live.
Any closer
from
experience,
but not today.
Not well, because I would step in to 99, literally. This is not even a joke, and he would take off. And I'm like, son of... So, it was getting later in the day, and finally I just told my wife, I'm like, man, F this thing. Mm-hmm. I'm literally walking straight across, and, I've gotten a lot of...
You've been sneaking up on it all day.
Dude, chasing it through the hills, hiding behind a bit of brush. And
now you're like,
pears.
just going to walk at him.
Literally. I'm going to just go straight gangster mode, and I'm just going to walk straight across this field at him. Here I come. And, and I've had a lot of people like, that wasn't a stalk. Well, if you would have been picking the thorns out of your butthole like I was after that.
I think sometimes when you're walking, when you walk straight up at an animal, not like you're sneaking,
right?
They can tell whether you're a predator or, just someone watching,
right?
Wildlife watching, right? There's
Absolutely.
when I hunt blacktails in the city center type of areas, if I'm sneaking through the woods,
right.
They're like out.
Right.
Or if I just walk through the woods like this, they'll put their head up and just look at you as you walk by because you're not coming off like a predator.
Right.
I think it's actually a way to get in close.
Yeah, and I mean, so
Closer.
right. So it got there, and look, this is a thing, kind of like with you. The situation has to be right. Yeah. There's a lot of things you can do from 20 to 50 yards, whether it's wind, footing, all kinds of things. But when you're taking an extended range shot, your poop's got to be in a group.
Yeah. Well, and we got people piling up here. I want to go over something that people don't think about that you can ad-lib on. If you shoot a 5-spot and I would imagine you're in the same boat I am. I'm usually, 300 with 58 to 60 X's. Mm-hmm. So that means your group's like a little bit bigger than a quarter at 20. So at 40, you double that. Okay? Everything being equal, no wind. At 80, you double that. Well, you're about, at what? What is 6-inch group at 80? No wind, give or take. Would you agree with that? If your mind is right.
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, with a target rig, a 6-inch group at 80, it's going to be smaller than that. But yes.
Yeah. And so what I try to explain to people is your mind is the problem. And you get your mind out of it, and you have the confidence in the time, and the animal doesn't know you're there. A 100-yard group at a paper plate is extremely feasible once you get your brain out of the equation.
Absolutely.
If you're shooting a 58 to 60 X count on a 5-spot, meaning you're shooting quarters at 20. What happens is the human brain, your confidence, everything gets in the way. This is with no wind, obviously.
Yeah.
Gets in the way. People start gripping their bow. They drop out of the bottom of their peep. They hammer the trigger. Yep. But once you get past those things, we talked about this the other day. Whatever. Yeah. 100 guys that can make that shot. More than that.
Absolutely.
Now, those 100 guys you're not going to pull out of a range. There's not going to be 100 guys that are just generally shooting at a outdoor range that are going to make that shot.
Right.
But if you know the people, and those people have been able to control their mind to keep their mind out of the way in a long shot situation, that shoot very, very, very well. I know a lot of shooters that shoot really well and can't hit anything at long distance or close at an animal. So that's where the big factor comes in. And when you're shooting that tight a group, I always just say, more or less, just double it as you go out. If you're hitting a paper plate at 20, well, you're shooting double that at 40. Probably worse, because if you can only hit a paper plate at 20, you really suck. And
right.
and your stuff's not dialed in, and so you're probably really going to go downhill even farther away. So it's not that out of the question to make that shot if everything's dialed in and you put the work in.
Exactly. And, look, what a lot of people fall prey to is analysis paralysis. Mm-hmm. They get out there and they start overthinking everything, and that's a matter of not being prepared and not being confident, not putting in the work on your end. Mm-hmm. And that's just really all it boils down to. And, obviously this isn't for every single topic. And so when you're in a situation, you have to make a decision. And if you hesitate, guess what?
Yeah.
That's just what it is. So you have to be able to assess the situation. You have to be able to see if the circumstances are right. You need to know if your equipment is right, and you have to be prepared. Yeah. And so that's what happens, man.
How many animals, Greg, have you killed at more than 80 yards?
Oh, 6. I've taken, and I've only shot at 6.
That's my next question is how many have you wounded?
Well, I've wounded 6. I've killed 6. I've recovered 6. So
they were wounded for a minute, then they died.
Right, and I've shot 6 animals from I believe 88 to 112, and none of those animals ran farther than the shot. Now, how many shots have I drawn back on like that and not taken? A bunch. because everything has to be right. Like that particular Scimitar Oryx shot, there was no wind on me. I was not bubbling. I was not aiming off. My footing was spectacular.
Yeah.
I was supremely confident in my equipment. I'm shooting the new Hoyt double XL bow. And at home, I was liquid Drano. I mean, I was pounding hole at home. And it was unbelievable. And so for me, I knew out to 100, my pin, and it was good. So I came, and I've actually had a lot of questions. Why were you aiming so long? And I'm like, what did you expect me to do at 100? Maybe that's why you definitely shouldn't shoot at 100 if you're asking me while I'm aiming so long. So I drew back. My pin settled where I wanted it to settle. I assessed the situation, and then I decided and I shoot a hinge, similar to what, I shoot the brass one, but, a few extra ounces doesn't bother me.
No.
So I was aiming. Everything felt right.
Yep.
And I just started to execute my shot, and I was literally in my mind like, okay, the pin's where I want, got no bubble, everything's level. I'm just going to start executing. Doink. Shot broke, and whammy.
Score.
And so 6 for 6 at that yardage, but I've probably passed on 30 or 40 animals at that distance simply because the wind wasn't right, my footing wasn't right, something about that situation wasn't right.
Yeah.
And so ethically, I'm just not going to take that shot unless I'm confident in it. And that's the problem today is everyone assumes to know the entire circumstance.
Well, you did a great podcast with Aaron the other day that I want to encourage people. It was kind of you talked a little bit about Aaron's trad experience, some of the
Dude, you rocked
heat.
that. You rocked that, by the way, bro.
And it's a great podcast. So I want to encourage Gritty Bowmen listeners to go check out Bow Junky. Go listen to that podcast with Aaron and Greg here, because you broke down, especially those that were really angry about Aaron's take on the trad bow season.
Right.
Wasn't a knock on trad bows. We love trad bows. That's one of the things that, I think a lot of people took it the wrong way. We still have our opinions on their difficulty to use.
Sure.
But I think you guys really did a good job beating that dead horse, but from another perspective.
Well, we didn't kill the horse. That's the whole point.
Right,
We didn't kill the horse.
We just kicked it when it was down.
Right. Somebody else killed it, and then they're asking us why they can't ride it. And I'm like, well, look, y'all killed it, so we're going to come over here and carve the backstrap out and eat it up.
There was some nice clarity in that. I thought it was succinct, and you did a great job. So
awesome, man. I appreciate it.
I'm excited. We're going to be working with you.
Yes, we started a relationship. That didn't sound right, but we have. So yeah, man. Look, I've been. I don't just own Bow Junky Media, of course. I've been doing this for a long time. I actually started working in the industry in 99, 2000, helping the Neely boys with Winner's Choice.
Yeah.
So I've been doing this a long time. The last 5 years or so, I've been doing my own consulting thing.
Yep.
And so I work with some amazing companies. So I also shoot professionally, not as good as I used to, of course. But so I'm super active in this. And so I've been watching what you've been doing at the Gritty Bowmen. Super impressed. Pound it.
Thanks.
Well done. Well done. You similar to what Bow Junky is, you have created a platform. And I'm super impressed in the way you manage and utilize that platform. And so great job there. Aaron and I have been friends for a long time, but, Aaron and I have been talking, we talk tech, we talk trash, we pretty much talk everything. But, the opportunity arose to, get you guys some product. AAE, we're talking about AAE here.
Yeah.
Arizona Archery Enterprises. For those of you that don't know, it was an OEM company for a long time. Quick story about how deep the Fisher family, and this is third generation over there. Tom Fisher started it. TJ Fisher owns it now, and his son Nick Fisher, who's the GM, is going to take it over. Big Tom Fisher is actually the guy who invented the peg on the cam to put a synthetic cable on, because he was tired of steel cables blowing up, putting the little eyelets through beams in his shop. He created that, and him and Jim Easton were thick as thieves. Those two were homies. Mm-hmm. That patent hangs on the wall at Hoyt with Tom Fisher's name on it, and he just gave it to them because that's what the industry needed back then.
Yeah.
So they've been doing this for a long, long time, and at AAE, they say, integrity, innovation, and excellence, and that's really what they're about. So I've been watching what you guys are doing. I've been super impressed, and so through my conversations with Aaron, talking tuning and all this kind of stuff about vanes, talking about arrow rest adjustment and some of the stuff there. Look, AAE supports the industry. AAE supports the NFAA, the ASA. They do a lot of contributions to the sport, not just staff. Anybody can have a staff.
Yeah.
But it's the contributions to the overall industry and the sport. So this was literally, for me, a round peg and a round hole. What you guys have been doing has been fantastic, and being able to team up with AAE, everybody out there can look forward very, very soon to some Gritty Bowmen hashtag Stay Gritty Vanes.
Yeah.
We're going to start getting those out there for you guys, and obviously you guys have got a taste of the Arrow Rest products. You've been using the stabilizers, but
I had the rest on too. In fact, that's something that guys ask, because we just announced we signed up with you guys. You sent that rest over, and I've got 2 different bows, so I was going back and forth, and I'd gotten some questions. Guys are like, "Hey, how come you're swapping arrow rest?" They knew I'd like the rest I was using, and for lack of a better explanation, your product hit the same spot, did the same thing,
right?
And you guys supported us. And
Absolutely.
that was huge, was you guys stepped up and were like, "Hey, you like the product, what do you think?" And then you showed the backing, the support. There was like, "Hey, we love what you're doing. We're going to support you guys in the platform that you have."
Yep.
And that was huge for us, and I can't say enough about it. It was great, so I really appreciate you guys doing that.
Well, absolutely. Look, you guys have earned it. You guys have put in the work and the time, and like I said, this is what I do every day. And so I see people come, I see people go, I see a lot of situations in this industry, and so what you guys have created, we're all left coasters, so that helps.
Yeah.
And so West Side Riders, son, ride or die. So I'm happy about it. It's going to be awesome. Kathy and I, my wife, will probably take a trip out there and hang out for a weekend or something, and kind of go over a bunch of the stuff. But you've already been shooting it, and you were like, "Dude, this thing shoots amazing."
Yep.
And so, that's what AAE is about, is building relationships and making amazing products.
Yeah, I'm excited to go over them and get into more detail and fletch up some arrows.
Oh.
Keep testing.
You mean have Aaron fletch up some
Well,
arrows?
I am getting into Aaron's.
Direct question, Brian, have you ever fletched an arrow?
Yes, I have.
You said
When?
a arrow. That's singular.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I've had a Blitzenberger.
You
whatever.
said it. You didn't even pronounce it correctly.
I don't care. I have used them before.
Oh, have you fletched one of your own arrows since you've been in Colorado?
That's awesome.
No.
Okay.
How
That
long
is
have you been in
true.
Colorado? I got your back, bro.
Since August.
See, I got your
But
back.
I probably haven't fletched any arrows for like 6 years.
Yeah. Well, the
So I fletched them the first year, and then I said, "Screw that,"
Dude,
and I started.
I can't stand to fletch arrows. I'm not even going to lie. Fletching arrows is I will fight somebody.
Dude, it was like $2 to have Corey do.
I gotta
like
have
a dozen.
I got to get his bling up, so I got to get the arrows. Yeah, I'm an anal retentive arrow guy when it to that. So
Yeah.
we tried. I actually fletched Q2Is, AAEs, short, long, and everything else. And I did 100-yard group testing, and we're going to talk about that more later. The biggest, honestly, they didn't shoot that much different. The noise was the big, Spirit of Full Candor.
Huge.
Were the groups, it was a negligible difference in group at
Right.
100. It was the noise that,
It's incredible.
which is huge. Shooting an animal noise is
Especially
important.
we really figured that out this year.
Just the ultra bow.
Yeah, just when an animal hears an arrow coming at him, especially when you're on the side of the arrow,
Right.
which Aaron has.
I've flung a few arrows by Brian to check the noise.
Dude, the first time it happened, I jumped 10 feet.
It sounds like the old baseball card and the spokes of the tire back in the 70s.
It was like a fighter jet.
Well, he kept telling me, it doesn't sound that loud, and it was safe-ish. There were some trees, and he was away, and I flung one, and he just hit the ground, and he was like, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's not that loud, is it?"
Right.
Like, a deer's a lot
Dude,
faster
when
than
you're
you.
standing behind Aaron
Right.
or next to him, you don't
Right.
hear that.
Right.
When you get out in front of the arrow, which I was like, "You mother."
Right.
The Mormon came out of it, and then not in a good way. It left him.
I was, adrenaline, and all that. I didn't know what it was. It was loud, and that was disturbing.
Right.
To find out how loud it was.
Yeah.
But
Dude, I'm telling you what, the Max Stealth vane is the most stable, quietest hunting vane on the market, period. I'm actually shooting that vane on my 2712 indoor arrows.
No kidding.
That's how much that arrow stabilizes. Now, I don't shoot it indoors because it's quiet. I just fletched those up with it because I had 5,000 sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
But, I've done some testing. Nick Fisher from AAE has done some testing. And when you guys do it, you're going to find out the exact same thing.
Well, I mean, you've also proven it too, Greg. A 100-yard shot on an animal like you did, all on video. It's looking right at you. Arrow's coming its way.
Right.
It doesn't move. Get out of the way.
Right.
There's proof is in the pudding, right? You've been able to do this over and over again. So,
That's good.
Absolutely. I mean, Lee Lukoski, he's a great shot. He's shooting the Max Stealth. I remember when I sent him Max Stealth, Pro Max, Max Hunters. I sent him all of those, and he literally sent me a text, and he's like, dude, these Max Stealths are, like, ridiculously quiet.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's the whole idea.
Well, we'll go in and do some tests and share that with people, but it's
we
going
got
to be
people.
fun.
We got people back.
Yeah, we got to roll.
Right.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate
Thank
it, man.
you, brother. All right. Right
Good
there.
times,
Thanks, man.
Check
All
out
right,
Bow
brother.
Junky.
All
Follow
right.
Greg.
Here we go. Later.
Stay gritty. Friends, hunters, outdoorsmen, lend me your ears. Please take this moment to listen to this excerpt from the Gritty Bowmen film, Back to Traditions. Despite our ever-changing, ever-indignant world with its growing ignorance of and indifference to the ways of the wild, I remain a predator, pitying those who revel in artificiality and synthetic success while regarding me and my kind as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood. I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. And on those occasions when I choose to kill, to claim some small part of nature's bounty for my own, I do so by choice, quickly, with the learned efficiency of a skilled hunter. Further, in my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place in time. Others around me may opt to eat only plants, nuts, and fruits. Still others may employ faceless strangers to procure their meats, their leather, their feathers, and all those niceties and necessities of life. Such is their right, of course, and I wish them well. All I ask in return is no one begrudge me, and all of us who may answer the primordial stirrings within our hunter souls, my right to do some of these things myself. What you just heard is a quote from M.R. James. We truly live in a world that is largely ignorant and indifferent to the ways of the wild. And although some regard us as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood, we have the opportunity to change the way these people view the hunter and the hunt. We can share our experiences and nature's bounty with those who employ these faceless strangers. And by so doing, we make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for the wild animals in the wild places we care so deeply about. Never stop sharing your passion for hunting and the outdoors. Our wild animals and our wild places depend on it. We want to thank Kifaru, Mountain Ops, Hoyt, Vortex, Phelps, Black Eagle Arrows, and Crispy Boots for supporting the Gritty Bowmen. We love these companies and the people behind them. They truly make fantastic products. Please support them whenever you can. And as always, good luck on your hunts and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.